is quite notable for launching a new villain called Snowflame, who gets his up against this new character, the Lethal Deadpool, who's never been seen before. Hi, I'm Glenn Simpson, and I've collected comics for over 40 years, and I'm showing off my collection one box at a time. Today, we're going to look at box number 113. We're continuing our way through series that start with the word new. We're going to begin with new Exiles, some new Fantastic Four. We're going to get into new Gods, new Guardians, new Invaders, and make our way into new Mutants. So it's going to be a good time. Please like and comment and subscribe. Those are all great things to do for the channel. If there's anything inside any of these packs that you'd like to see what's in between, comment, let me know. We'll make a special video about that. But in the meantime, hey, let's get going here on Glenn Simpson's Comics. Okay, so we begin with new Exiles. Like a lot of series, you had Exiles, and then, you know, to freshen it up, they started the series over at some point as new Exiles. Chris Claremont writing, Tom Grummett doing the art, Greg Land on covers, or at least at this point, you know, very Psylocke centric series right there. Not a very hot book, so the packs are big. Issue 1 right there through issue 8. Alan Davis on that cover, looking good. Then we've got issue 9, another Psylocke centered cover there. And then the series actually ends with issue 18. Got all of these various Exiles from all the various series coming together there. Then we have an annual. New Exiles annual featuring Morph. There you go. Then we have new Fantastic Four. So there was a little brief span in Fantastic Four where they did this gag where the regular Fantastic Four disappeared, and you know, the four hottest stars of comics at the time at Marvel, Ghost Rider, Hulk, Spider-Man, and Wolverine, took over for them, and you know, it was kind of a joke. But here in this series, we have them returning for a few issues as the new Fantastic Four. That's issue 1, Arthur Adams cover, through issue 5. There you go. Then we have new 52 Futures End. So this was kind of some timey-wimey thing. Honestly, it's been a while. We have a kind of a team up of different writers working together on it, but it involves the future of the DC universe as it stood. It included the Batman Beyond universe, and kind of got all of the various heroes involved. That's issue 1 through issue 8. Right there. And issue 9. Is this Superman? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Through issue 16. I believe this is another, I think, twice a month sort of thing. It involves Brainiac. It's one of those things where they say, oh, well, you know, none of the Brainiacs you've met before were the real Brainiac. They were all, you know, drones or, you know, copies of Brainiac. Sort of like they do with Thanos, actually. Issue 16. Issue 17. Lois Lane trying to find out who the mystery Superman is. Issue 24. Black Adam getting involved, and Adam. Is that a... no, okay. Is that? Kind of, maybe? No, I don't know. Anyway. The dog's going out. Issue 25, right there. Through 32. 33. So we get introduced to this little girl, and she's kind of scary. She's kind of, you know, bloodthirsty and cutthroat, and you know. And funnily enough, I guess we never. She kind of ended with the New 52, but she was scary, man. Issue 33 through 40. Of course, all of the series that were going on had a special, a New 52 Futures End special. We've of course been looking at them as we go when we run across them. Issue 41 through 48, and that is the final issue. Getting some Brother Eye stuff right there. Alright, so after New 52 we have New Gods. And as usual, I am too cheap to get the really expensive books, so I have some trades. Jack Kirby's New Gods. This is the full, I guess, 11 issues of his original run of New Gods, all in one spot. Handy dandy. Right there. So then they brought the series back in the late 70s, and it ran for a few issues, and I think basically later Kirby will come back and kind of ignore all of this, so it kind of got retconned. But issue 12, they had an issue of first issue special, I believe, before this. Issue 12 through issue 15. Jim Starlin up in here doing some artwork, some cosmic, early Jim Starlin cosmic stuff. Issue 16 right there. Through issue 19. Well, it says Staten and Layton. Maybe I was wrong about that. Just kind of has a Starlin look about it. Oh, and that was... okay, so 19 was the final issue, but they still had some artwork left. I think this was a victim of the DC implosion. So the next part of the story ended up in Adventure Comics, and when it was a $1 comic, along with a bunch of other stories. So then they did a reprint of all of the original stuff in this New God series, but then in issue 6 they put new stuff, and so I just got issue 6 because it's the only one with what I don't already have in that trade. So we have issue 6 of the second New God series, and then it kind of lay fallow for a while, and then in 89 they brought it back. We got Mark Evanier, we've got Paris Cullens, underrated artist, doing a New Gods series. I want to like the New Gods. I mean, I have a lot of them, but just doesn't always, you know, I don't get that excited about it. But anyway, Starlin's writing now. Issue 4 right there. I knew Starlin was going to come along eventually. And then issue 5. There, got some of the bug people. Through issue 8. Bloodline saga runs for several issues. Issue 9. Got the doggies. Through issue 12. There. Issue 13. Our heroes visiting New York. Issue 20. Versus Yuga Khan. There. Issue 21. Evanir's been back for a bit. We lost Cullens. Issue 28. The final issue of that run, ending in 1991. Then we pick up again in, looks like 96. Fine writing. With Tom Payer, Rachel Pollack, Luke Ross, some people like that. Issue 1 through issue 6. Very 90s-ish kind of look to it. Oh, then I skipped some. Don't have all this one. Issue 12. Got Walt Simonson doing art. We got John Byrne writing. Through issue 15. Of course, we would also see the title John Byrne's Fourth World, which may come after this. I've bought it all as back issues, so I've read them all, but I'm not really sure I followed all of the order they should be in. So that's that. Maybe it's more of those are on my to-do list. And then we have the very recent Ram V series. Things happened. A child was threatened. A child was turned into a god of some sort. Issue 1 through issue 6, Black Racer, the embodiment of death that follows the new gods around. Issue 7, Justice League showing up through issue 12. Right there. Alright, from New Gods we go to the New Golden Age. This was a one-shot. This was kind of launching a couple of initiatives to bring back some of the Earth 2 heroes, to launch the new Justice Society book. It brought back a bunch of old sidekicks, including some that had never really existed before. And this was a one-shot that kind of launched that whole thing. So that's just the one-shot for that right there, New Golden Age. Then we have New Guardians coming out of Millennium. So the little blue men, Guardians of the Universe, come to the Earth and say, hey, we got to find some new Guardians. We're going to disappear. So they find some folks, and, they basically just turn out to be, superheroes. There wasn't really that special about them, and a couple of them already had their powers. We have Harbinger from the Crisis. We have the Floronic Man, Jason Woodrue, notable for being the one who revealed to Swamp Thing that he was not a man turned into a plant. He was a plant who believed he was a man. And then for new, basically, superheroes, And by the time this is all done, sometimes when they're all from different countries, and sometimes you see them if they're doing a big crossover and they're showing all the heroes in all the different countries dealing with things. Sometimes they'll show up there, but that's issue 1. Issue 2 is quite notable for launching a new villain called Snowflame, who gets his powers from snorting cocaine. Yes, folks, it's the 80s, and somehow, like, modern people found out about this, and it just, I guess because it's just so ludicrous, it's become a bit of a meme, and everybody's talks about Snowflame. So his first appearance here in New Guardians number 2 is a bit of a big boy book. Right there. So you never know what's going to wind up being a big deal. Issue 3. Right there. This is all being drawn by Joe Staton, one of DC's classic artists. Issue 7. Right there. Part of they came out of one crossover and now they're getting into another one, the invasion, or really coming right out of it. Extraño, which is Spanish, I believe, for strange or weird, which is unfortunate because he's also one of the earliest openly gay superheroes. So that was kind of perhaps a bad combination to put on there. Issue 7. Issue 8. Oh no, everybody, we're slaves. Right there. The one thing I will say for this, you go all the way through Crisis and you kind of don't really know much about Harbinger. She's just kind of a plot device. So it was interesting to see her get some, a personality in this. Issue 8 through the final issue, issue 12. Pat Broderick comes on for the last couple of issues, and which of course that he's got a very different style, and he draws some ugly stuff here, but this is the final issue of New Guardians. Next, alphabetically, we have the recent new history of the DC universe. So DC has an ever-changing history, and it really got convoluted over the 2011 to 2016 period when they had the New 52, and then the New 52 went away, but there's some New 52 stuff still around, but there's also some new stuff. So this was an attempt to take all of the various series in history and just kind of put it in an order, try to make sense. Some sacrifices had to be made, some decisions were made. Some of them I like, some of them I'm not too sure about, but some of them I'm intrigued enough by, but we don't really get enough information in here. I'd love to see them do more. I know they're doing one shot for the Milestone universe. I'd love to see them do more of that and get down deeper into the history of some of the situations where things were kind of twisty, and they're trying to straighten it out. But that's issue 1 through issue 4. Right there. We have New Invaders, number 0. So basically taking the Invaders, who were the Marvel's wartime heroes, who were mainly Captain America, the Human Torch, and the Submariner, and just taking them in their modern incarnations, and doing some stuff with them. So we've got issue 0. We've got Chuck Austin writing. He's pretty controversial. He was very outside the box, if nothing else. We have issue 1. So I believe this is not Captain America. This is John Walker. We've got the Flaming Skull, who's left over from World War II, one World War II hero, and he's kind of nuts. And Union Jack, a UK hero, issue 1. But the originals show up also. Got Human Torch here, original Android Human Torch in issue 9. Of course, we have a new writer and stuff, trying to make it work. Hang on, I need to... Alright, then we move on to New Justice Machine. Once again, we had Justice Machine, and just to spice it up, the next series they had was a New Justice Machine. That's issue 1. This is a independent series. Bunch of superheroes living on an alternate world. Cool stuff. Issue 1 through issue 3. I say it was cool. Obviously, it didn't last very long in any of its incarnations, but if you just like superheroes. Then we have, speaking of which, we have Newmen. I picked up a bunch of these in a $1 box not long ago. Just pure image, early image, blah, you know, superhero Jeff Matsuda kind of stuff. You know, not very complicated plots, and certainly not very clear plots, but a bunch of mutant type superheroes. Issue 1 through issue 4, right there. Then, speaking of mutants, we have New Mutants. So, as the story goes, the X-Men go off into space. They are thought to be deceased. Professor Xavier decides it's time to get a new crop of students, so he goes out and he finds some new mutants. And there's a graphic novel called The New Mutants, which is where most of them first appeared. Karma had appeared in a Fantastic Four issue and some things like that, but most of them were brand new for that graphic novel. So this is their second appearance. But we would find out later that A, the X-Men were alive, but B, something was wrong with Professor Xavier and his intentions for bringing in the students. But anyway, issue 1 right here through issue 4. We've got Cannonball and Wolfsbane and Karma, and she was originally Psyche, and she would change it to Mirage and Sunspot. Got the team up against the Silver Samurai and Viper in issue 5. Issue 8. Right there. Team ventures into a hidden land called Nova Roma, which is still living out the Roman culture times, and in this storyline we will meet Magma, another mutant that will join, as well as the first appearance of the woman that will become the Black Queen of the Hellfire Club, the new Black Queen. Issue 9. There's Magma. Issue 12. There. Issue 13. So the X-Men come back to Earth, and Professor X tells Kitty, well, I now have students that are about your age, so you gotta quit being an X-Man and join the New Mutants. And she's like, no. And then that creates some friction. Right there, issue 13. issue 16, the White Queen. She has her students called the Hellions, and the two schools come to blows. Right there. Issue 17, more of that storyline. We're starting to get some Bill Sienkiewicz art in here. This is just inking on this one. But by the time you get to issue 20, we are full on Sienkiewicz. We've picked up Illyana as Magik from the Magik miniseries, the little sister of Colossus, with her magical abilities. But yeah, you got full on Bill Sienkiewicz doing his what would be his signature style. And I think in my mind that is not that's really comes out in issue 21 here, which is where the team meets Warlock, the technologically based organism from outer space. Just the writing on this is just incredible. Just the way the kids relate to each other and the things they talk about. It's very much like a slumber party. Issue 21 through 24. Right there. Got issue 25. The team runs into Cloak and Dagger, and there's finding out that they are mutants, and they could join, but they choose to stay living on the streets. Issue 25. Issue 28. Somewhere along the way, Professor Xavier gets his brain transplanted into a cloned body that doesn't have the spinal damage, so he can walk again. It will only last for a while. 29. They had established over in there's a mini-series called Beauty and the Beast, which was Dazzler and the Beast of, X-Men, and that there was an underground, fight club for mutants, and looks like our boys and girls get tied up in that. 32. There, some time travel related stuff. Steve Leialoha doing artwork. Wonder whatever happened to him. 33. Warlock going nuts. 36. Got Barry Windsor Smith doing a cover, part of Secret Wars 2, the sequel. Kitty has taken on the name Shadowcat, coming out of the Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries. And somewhere along the line, Doug Ramsey is joined with his mutant power of understanding any language. And the team has to come up against the Beyonder, who was the godlike being who was at the center of the Secret Wars 1 and 2. By 40, I believe Professor X has passed. Maybe they think he's dead or whatever. And Magneto is taken over, and Captain America's like, what? Issue 40. Oh, that's it. 37 through issue 41. We've got these are all these Barry Windsor Smith covers, of course. Right there. Tighten that up. Issue 44. Team going up against Legion, the son of Professor Xavier, who has multiple personalities, and each one has different superpowers. So he is kind of a bit of a menace. He had his own TV show called Legion. Issue 45, the border cover, 25th anniversary cover, Illyana by Barry Windsor Smith. There. Issue 48. Somewhere along the line, Mirage becomes an official Valkyrie of Asgard. Trying to pump up her powers a bit, because you know her powers were just sort of to generate images from people's minds, and it was just kind of not really very, she wasn't that great in a fight. So they were trying to increase that. And then 49. We're in the Brett Blevins period. Some people don't care much for the Brett Blevins span. Not overly much a fan myself, but they got Trapped in the Future, Katie Power of the Power Packs, an old lady. 49. Oh, but we got some Sienkiewicz again. Sim, the demon from Limbo, who's kind of constantly trying to take it away from Magik, who's the queen. 53 right there. Rick Leonardi of Cloak and Dagger and some other things. 56. Team gets these nifty new costumes in one of the annuals that I believe were designed by Arthur Adams, and so they have started wearing those here. Kevin Nolan doing that cover. Alright, then we get back into some Brett Blevins with Bird Boy. Nobody likes Bird Boy. Kind of an island filled with transformed animals, or humans transformed into animals, or animals transformed into humans, that kind of thing. And hilarity ensues. I think it was always kind of hard to tell. Were they trying to be funny, tragic? Where were they going with this? Issue 57. Issue 60. The Fall of the Mutants. Just everything going wrong for the X-Men and the New Mutants and all that. We have Granny, the strangely egg-shaped critter who likes to steal babies, basically. 61. Our team is strangely happy to be leaving this island, given that Doug Ramsey died there. Cipher has died. I mean, he'll get better, but they didn't know that. But look at us, we're so happy. 61. In fact, here we go. He got better, kind of. Warlock didn't quite understand why he couldn't just, keep Doug walking around. 64. 65. Some formerly evil mutants have gone to work for the government, and they get sent to track down the New Mutants. Here. Issue 65. Issue 68. We have the advent of Gosamry. She's beautiful, but she's manipulative. Is she good? Is she bad? Who can say? 69, dude. Spider, the entity that Gosamry is associated with. There. And we get into Inferno with the all of the stuff from the hellish limbo coming into the real world and trying to take over, and the demon Nestor still trying to take over the world, or at least Limbo. And in the end, Illyana gives her life. But, you know, she'll get better. 73. There. 76. Got some visits from some of the other mutants that Sunspot met. You know, some of the other younger mutants that have been appearing in some of the other books, like Rusty and Boom Boom and Richter, hanging out with Namor. Got 77. Got some things going on with the Valkyrie-ness of Mirage, of Danny Moonstar. Through 80. Some more Valhalla, Valkyrie stuff. 81. There, you know. Magma comes from a Roman culture, throwback culture, and so she's like, oh my god, Hercules, we worship you. Right there. Through 84. So at this point, somebody says, dang, sales are just not good. Hey, who we got that could, who could spice up this book a little bit? What's that Liefeld kid doing? Well, I don't know. Let's let him draw a cover or some stuff. So 85, we have the first Rob Liefeld on New Mutants, part of the Acts of Vengeance, where everybody swaps villains. Got Odin doing his Odin sleep. We got 86. 86 is Liefeld and McFarlane after Ditko. Kind of a play on the Spider-Man cover that first featured Vulture. So, and Liefeld's like, hey, let me do some writing, man. I want to create some characters and stuff. I want to change the way this book goes. So, 87. He introduces a little thing called Cable, who will have a big effect on the book. He's a guy from the future with big guns and big shoulder pads and lots of pouches, and he is actually turns out to be the child of Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor, who was sent to the future to grow up, and he gained time travel technology and a lot of big guns, and came back to the present to do some things, and one of them is to become a mentor to the New Mutants. Yep. So then 88, we just got some more Cable. Cable doing Cable stuff. He's got his arm, technological arm that is trying to take over his whole body, so he has to use his telekinetic powers part of the time to keep it from doing that. 88 through 92. Interestingly enough, they're still all wearing their suits that they got from Arthur Adams a while back. 92. 93, first Wolverine versus Cable. That's what you knew it had to happen. Right there, 93 through 97. We're friends now. Extinction Agenda crossover. So then we get to New Mutants 98. The team goes up against this new character, the Lethal Deadpool, who's never been seen before. So there you go. Also, the Dynamic Domino. Although, we'll find out that's not really Domino. But that's New Mutants 98 right there. Apparently Rob Liefeld did not care much for Sunspot, so he sends Sunspot on his way. Sunspot's got other things to do than to be a New Mutant, or what's going to happen next. And 100 is the final issue of the series. We've got Shatterstar and what's her name? Can't believe I'm not remembering it. But anyway, and her and Warpath coming in, and basically the series is about to become X-Force, the original X-Force, written and created and drawn and everything by Rob Liefeld. So that's the end of the original New Mutant series. They had some annuals along the way, as you do, during the Sienkiewicz period. We had this introducing Lila Cheney, who is a rock and roll star. She's also a mutant. She has the ability to teleport, but she can't teleport short distances. She can only teleport at like an interstellar level. So she can travel from, Earth to some faraway planet and back, but she can't travel from one room to another. So that's kind of an interesting twist on the powers. We have Annual 2, some Alan Davis art. We've got the kids getting involved with some of the Marvel UK stuff, and this is the first appearance of Betsy Braddock Psylocke in American comics. She had previously only appeared in the Marvel UK publications. That's issue 2. We have issue 3. So the Impossible Man, the alien who can turn into anything, gets into it with Warlock, who can also kind of turn into anything, and hilarity ensues right there. Then we get into kind of that period where all the there would always be a storyline running through several of the annuals. So this New Mutants annual was part of the Atlantis Attacks crossover. We've got Namorita hanging out with our heroes. That's New Mutants Annual 5. Annual 6, Days of Future Present. There, Liefeld is doing a little work on that. It's actually earlier than the main stuff he did, I think. And then Annual 7, Mike Mignola of Hellboy, doing some art, and part of the Kings of Pain crossover. And so that's the end of that series. And then a few years later, we've mentioned this Tsunami initiative. It's just kind of a few titles with a bit of a, I don't know what they were going for, kind of a manga-esque, not in the artwork maybe, but just an attitude. Just a New Mutants, the original heroes of the New Mutants. X-Force has kind of gone off to do its own thing, so our friend, the friends that were bonded as the original New Mutants get back together. That's issue 1. Forget the name of this guy who is doing these covers. He did the new NYX stuff. Joshua Middleton, maybe, if I think. Issue 4. Issue 5. Right there. Then we kind of get into some other, we get, oh shoot, what's his name? I forget his name, this artist. But we get some more New Moon stuff. None of these covers are pertinent to the storyline. It's hard to remember what's going on in them. Issue 9. I don't even know who that is. And by issue 13, we get a very, compared to the previous covers, a very straightforward, hey, look, it's the New Mutants cover for the final issue. And that is also the final issue for this box. Okay, so that was box 113. We will make our way through some more new stuff in box 114. We will have some more New Mutants. Let's see, new Suicide Squad, new Superman, new Talent Showcase, and we will get into all the way through new Teen Titans and get into new Thunderbolts. So it's going to be good. It's all new all the time. I'm so glad you were here. Thank you so much. Have a great day.